Hey guys, and welcome to this week's edition of The Naked Truth. Trisha Hershberger here, and this is a very special guest edition of The Naked Truth. But before I introduce our guest, I want to go ahead and thank our Naked Army vloggers from last week who shared their stories of what makes them feel like a superhero. That's Kavaja, Jenny, James, Colin, and Jeremy at the time of this recording. If you want to check out their Naked Truths, they are linked in the description below. So today's guest is the one, the only, Josh Macuga. Hey
Hey,
Josh!
what's up?
Welcome to The Naked Truth. Thank you for getting naked on my show.
Of course. Hey, I'm alone at home. There's nothing else I'd rather do than be naked. So
Yay! It's funny. People are always like, "Is that so uncomfortable?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm in my house. Like, I feel like being naked in your own house is a right."
that's why we have houses. That's why we're able to be naked. That's why we pay rent or a mortgage or whatever the case may
Yep.
be.
So that
Yep.
you can be naked in your own house. Well, yeah. Thank you for being naked in your house for me on this show. Um, Now, you guys may recognize Josh if you watch Collider or from the Josh Macuga Show or Between the Sheets
Yeah.
or any number of other places on the internet. I feel like you show up all over the internet, screen junkies everywhere. But
I
Josh
try.
has a show where he talks about sexy times, and I get often asked questions and submitted topics for the show about lots of sexual things.
Hmm.
And sometimes I stay away from them because I think people are going to get judgy McJudgy pants.
Hmm.
But that's why I brought Josh on here because I'm like, hey, why are people so squeamish to talk about sex? Why do people get judgy McJudgy pants when you do talk about sex? Because you have a show that's all about that. So how do you approach that for your show?
Um, well, I make sure, first of all, I make sure the guests are comfortable to talk about it. But I also, because,
That's a big part of it, yeah.
but I think there's a lot of people out there that don't want to talk about it, mostly because um, for whatever reason, our country, our society, a lot of the world has made sex something that's so taboo against brands, against sponsorship. You don't.
Hey, YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Like that whole YouTube thing is just silly. It's so silly. And I always appreciate the people that come on and want to talk about it. Between the Sheets was obviously way more in your face because the title was about it. People are like, why don't you change it back to Between the Sheets? I was like, it's the exact same show. I just changed it to Josh Macuga Show so that I could get more guests, and it's on my brand, and it's me, so it's easier. And I think listen, I'm not Howard Stern and asking people how they masturbate or doing anything
No.
like that. I'd love to just talk about funny sexual situations that you get yourself into because we've all been there, and it's way healthier to talk about it than it is to bottle it up and then feel ashamed because none of us should feel ashamed. We're all
No.
doing it. We're all doing it. So
Well, and everybody has trial and error, and that's how you learn. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn the tables around and ask you what is one of your funniest stories that you would like to share on this show?
I am newly engaged.
Yes,
So
you are. Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. When we first started hooking up, my family is very Catholic, right?
Okay.
And her family is very not. So, my mom's a school teacher, and they were very, they didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about it, and I think that's why I'm so into talking about it because I think it's really fun and funny, and it always creates good comedy. And two, because I was so, kept in the shadows of when it came to sex as a kid that you like rebel. You do the exact
Yeah.
opposite. So we are at her mom and dad's house. The first time I'd ever visited, it was Thanksgiving. And her mom was like, if you guys want to have sex, it's totally fine. We can't really hear you up here, so no big deal. I know
Oh my
Thanksgiving.
God.
This is the line, though. I know Thanksgiving is a romantic time, and I was like, is it? I
It's
was,
stuffed turkey?
I was gonna say, like, nothing turns me on like cranberry sauce. So I go downstairs, and I was totally fine with it, but I was definitely a little embarrassed. And Amanda was like, "Why are you're acting kind of embarrassed?" Like, well, talking to your parents about sex, kind of like, I don't know, it's a little different for me. And on the other side, Amanda can't stay in my bedroom with me. We're not allowed to sleep together until we're married in my parents'
Even though
house,
you're engaged?
even though we're engaged.
Wow. And I
No,
thought my parents were strict.
no.
My mom just always said no sex until you're 35. That was like the rule. Because I also grew up Catholic. But but I actually, funny enough, I had Catholic teachers that were like theology teachers that were like, sex is great. It's a gift. It's wonderful. You just have to wait till you're married to get it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a healthier outlook than like, don't do that ever. But yeah, my mom was like, don't do it till you're 35. But once I
Did
was
your mom
engaged,
wait
she
until
was
she was
like,
35?
what?
Did your mom wait until she was 35?
I'm sure she didn't.
Yeah.
She's one of those people that never talks about it. Like if you ever asked her, she'd be like, I never had sex. And you're like, but mom, you have 2 kids. Nah, I never did that. Like that's just who my mom is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think once I was engaged, Nate and I were allowed to sleep in the same bed in their house.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, crazy
It's just
town.
different worlds. But I mean, if we're talking like funny sex stories, it runs the gamut. In college, one time, I fell out of a window, a second floor window at my fraternity.
Oh my
Was
God.
having sex. I like fell off the bed and rolled out and like grabbed the windowsill, but I was like, only a story. I'll just drop. And I dropped into a bush and I was fine, but I was buck naked.
Wait, were you like trying to get out of there because it was like someone else was coming in or something?
No, like the bed was next to the window, and I fell off the bed and like tripped, and the window was open because it was like summertime, so it was hot, and there's no air conditioning in old fraternity. And I legit fell out the window, and I'm running naked, like covering myself, and a couple of people are like honking because my fraternity was on a main street in a giant university, so there was enough people driving by that caught my white ass running across the lawn to get back in the house.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my parents definitely walked in on me one time, and so like right before I moved to LA, I was living in New York, and I moved home for about a month and a half, and I started seeing this girl that I was like sort of dated in high school a little bit, and my parents were out, and I was like, oh, we can just hook up here. And my parents came home early, and I was like ushering her, like I hid her for a while, and then like tried to usher her out of the garage without them knowing. My dad totally knew. My mom, I don't think knew, but my dad was like, what are you doing down here? I was like, nothing. He's like, why'd your shirt off? I was like, He's like, just get her out of here. And I was like, all right. My dad was more
Okay.
than my mom, but I definitely, man, yeah, New York. When I lived in New York, I didn't have a locking door on my apartment door, like not on the apartment door, but I lived with 4 other dudes in a
Got
loft
it.
space, and my room was tiny. Obviously, a struggling actor,
So
host.
did you do like tie on the doorknob or sock on the door? Was there a code?
I had a nail that I would like pound in there, so it would like close, like sort of locked. And we were having a party, and my buddy was trying to get in, and he just like pulled, and the lock came out, and the girl was there naked, and she ran out in the middle of the party with just like covering herself, and it was like a movie. It was legit, yeah. Oh man.
That's hilarious. Yeah, my funny ones are just kind of like sad funny. Like I feel like yours are legit funny. Mine are like womp womp. Like I remember this was back right out of college because I didn't lose my virginity until senior year of college. Um
College.
mhm.
Whoa, T. Hirsch.
Yeah, I know.
Hey.
And so, it was with that boyfriend that I thought I was going to marry, and so it was totally okay. But fast forward in that relationship to way later, and I was really, really drunk. We had partied really hard that night, and we're like mid all the action. And
Sure.
I looked at him and said, hey, I know that you go both ways, but I'm totally okay with it. And this was after like dating for years.
Wait, you knew is he bisexual? Is he into dudes too?
He, I mean, not that he knew of, not that he, like, I just happened to say that really wasted. And I didn't remember it the next morning. And he was like furious at me. And he
Yeah.
was like, you don't know why I'm mad at you? And I was like, no. And then I had to have that story told to me. And I was like, I don't know why I said that.
Oh
I'm
my God,
sorry.
that is
Like,
hysterical. So then you come out of the closet later after you broke up?
no, like he's a hetero guy, but like, can you imagine someone just saying that to you? You're like,
I
what?
do. I do? Did I tell? Wait, what? Oh no. Let me check.
And he's like, the truth comes out when you're drunk, and you said that because you think that's true. And it was like this big fight, and I was like, I don't remember. I'm so sorry.
Oh, but see, here's the thing. You like I have said the most absurd things to girls in bed drunk. Like my brother always, he's like, what do you say to them? I was like, I don't know. I get like really nice and loving when I'm drunk. And then he's like, do they call you out on your lies? And I was like, no, I think I'm so sweet that they're like, this was actually a lot. Like, you're so nice. And I was like, fuck, what did I say? I don't know what I said. Like,
You like drop the L bomb all the time?
all the time. Yeah. In college, I probably told at least 20 girls I loved them in the span.
Oh
Of
No,
Yeah,
sir.
I know.
No.
And to be honest with you, I mean, I probably loved a few of them, but it was
Yeah, that's not something you want to go around like, and you, and you, and you,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you. Hey.
I like to drink and love, and I think that got me in trouble.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. Okay, so I have some from the Naked Army. I have some questions and
Okay.
topic submissions that they've given me over the years that I was like, I'm just going to throw out and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
So Jesse Maury says you should do a Naked Truth on dating or sleeping with coworkers slash bosses slash employees.
Done
I've
all
never
those.
done it, but I did work for a guy who ended up knocking up our married supervisor. This is what Jesse says. Um, I have always firmly believed don't dip your pen in the company ink.
I like the term "don't shit where you eat." Is that the?
Also true.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it?
Yeah. It's.
Wait,
Wait.
yes?
Yes, of course. Listen, I worked from the time I was like 16 until I was about 28. I worked in bars and restaurants, and everybody
Oh,
knows.
everybody dates everybody in bars and
Everybody,
restaurants.
did. But even and like, I guess, yeah. I mean, I only had one office job. Really,
Okay.
if you don't count Collider, because I do have to go in an office now. But like, I had one office job, and my supervisor was this like she was 46, and I was working in commercial real estate, and I was 23, just like fresh out of college.
Ooh.
She took a liking to me, and yeah, we had like a three
Rare.
yeah, we had like a 3 month fling. I brought her back to my apartment when I was living in New York, and I was living with my buddies from college, and they were
And
like,
you have like a 23-year-old's apartment.
yeah, and I was like, they were like, what are you doing? Who is that? I was like, that's my boss. Her name was Fran. No, she's not. Doesn't watch it. Uh, but
That's hilarious.
my one boss at the one bar that I worked here in LA, I had this streak of I would hook up with one of the waitresses, and then 6 to 8 weeks later, they would either quit or get fired. So my boss would be like, "Dude, this girl Sarah is not working out. Can you start dating her?" And I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
"Because he would."
So you were like, good luck, Chuck, except for the opposite and getting fired for your job.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
hilarious. I'm trying to think if I ever dated anyone that I worked with. I'm sure it happened at least once, probably only once, but
Here's the
I
thing,
can't
though.
think of a specific time at the moment, so it wasn't a very long relationship.
But here's the thing, and you get this is that
Oh, I dated people that okay, I know. Yes. I have dated other actors I've been in shows with,
showmance.
and I did date my director on an indie film that I worked on.
Been there, dated
That's such a
co-stars.
stereotype. It's such a horrible stereotype,
I
but I
know.
totally did.
But if you like, honestly, if you're in entertainment and you've done a play or you've done a movie or done a TV show, you're in such close quarters, and when it's about to wrap, you're like, I may never work with this person again. Let's hook up, and that's how it's kind of always happened. I mean, there's been times where, like in the middle of the show, I've hooked up with girls, or like some of like those early hosting gigs when you were going on the road for like 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you're the only two people. It's kind of like a product of your environment.
Yes. Okay. This one's I think we're gonna know the answer to this one. But Danny said for a Naked Truth suggestion, I was wondering what your approach to girl talk is. And they're defining girl talk by saying, how personal or detailed do you like to get? Who do you usually share it with? What topics of conversation usually come up? Past sexual experiences, personal preferences, etc. And is there anywhere you draw the line? For example, you'll happily talk about past boyfriends, but never your current partner. And I think just from the way that this discussion's been going so far, I would say that neither of us really have a big problem talking about that stuff.
No, I don't.
I
I mean,
try not
like,
to give personal details about other people. Like, I don't want to be like, here's this person's first and last name and address and the size of their penis. Like,
right, right.
I try not to do that.
And with social media, like, it's, I was giggling at like name, age, penis size, like because those are their top three things that you want to say about somebody. No, I think, yeah, I think me and my fiance are very open. I'm not going to go out and tell like gory details, but I mean we're human beings. We have sex and we enjoy each other, and she's got an amazing body, and I love looking at it, and then I love I love our life together. I think when I was always of the school of like, I'm never getting married, never having kids. This is not for me. And then I think like just one day and everybody's like, yo, come on, Josh, it'll happen. And I think in LA, it's a lot different for guys is because especially in our industry, is you meet a ton of actresses that are very shallow people and very hot, and then you meet and you are immediately attracted to them and drawn to them. And I think it took me a lot longer than a lot of people to find that one person that was into the same things as me. And really and truly what a lot of people are looking for, and they'll never admit it, is that moment of complete vulnerability that you can trust in somebody to be with you in that moment.
And for girls in LA, it's a completely different set of problems.
Yeah.
For girls in LA, it's you meet a lot of guys who gave up everything to move out here. Or if you're dating women, I actually find I have a lot of female friends that are this way too. Gave up everything to move out here, fully career oriented, and they're only interested in dating as long as it works out with their career plans.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you do want something longer term or something that's going somewhere, that's really hard to find. You might find someone that's down to be like a live-in boyfriend or girlfriend for 7-8 years, but never wants to get married because what if I get that big break and have to move to Australia?
Right.
Or whatever. And it's admirable that they're so ambitious and focused on career, but you really need to be upfront with people in the beginning of dating, which is super awkward, about what you're both looking for. Like, no one wants to be that person on a first or second date that's like, how do you feel about marriage?
Right, yeah, no. But you told me about
you kind of have
second date that was amazing, where you asked like 30 questions to one another. And but I think that's so important, especially, I mean, the older I get, I'm not just going to waste like 2 months of my life and be like, it kind of didn't work out. And I kind of sort of saw that coming from, right away.
Right.
Amanda will tell the story that on our first date, I said, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. And then like,
she made a liar out of you.
I know. And then like a month later, we were laying in bed and she was like, so I need to know right now because we both said we love each other and we are going towards a path of whatever. And I was like, yeah, I got to be honest with you. My mind is starting to change and it's all because of you. She's like, is it starting to change or is it change? And I was like, it's starting to change. And then, for in her defense, she stayed on me. She was up, it was, it's weird. It's weird how it works out.
And I'll be honest, I think you're a stellar dude, but if one of my girlfriends was in that situation, I'd be like,
run.
Cut it, run. I'd be like, don't stick around for that. He's just not that into you. You are not the exception. You're the rule.
I'm with you. I probably would have said the same thing if I were your girlfriend. Christ, I'm surprised that she did stick around, but I'm a lucky guy that she did.
But yeah, she was the exception, so it worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, Yuxel Erding Tekken says, I really enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Naked truth about first moves could be nice. And I would say as a girl, my first move is always like eye contact that's a little bit too long, like awkwardly too long across the bar, and hold it and do that several times to the point where I feel like it's got to be obvious.
Yes.
At this point that you should come over and talk to me.
Yeah.
What's the guy first move?
Well, I will say that the eye contact move like that definitely works. If you catch her eye a few times across the bar, then you should go over and say something for sure. I've always just been like, because I've worked in bars and I've seen guys try everything humanly possible to talk to a girl. I know what to do and what not to do. I think my biggest, my best move is always just kind of being myself, not being like, so what do you come here often? Nothing like that. I just go over and I just start talking to them. And if they just start talking back to me and they have at least a decent personality, if you don't know within the first 20 seconds that she doesn't want you around, then you just can't gauge the situation. You don't know your audience. But in my experience and how I've been able to, it's a numbers game. Like, you're going to have to talk to a lot of people before you actually get a positive response. It's a lot harder for guys to talk to girls than girls to talk to guys, I think. Because if a girl approached me, I'd be like, yeah, let's talk. This is great, amazing. But for guys, you have to play the numbers game. First move always is just trying to be yourself. If she doesn't like it, just move on. It's not, there's a comedian who has an amazing joke about like, I wish girls would just tell me straight up, hey, I'm not going to have sex with you. Like, great, I'm out, right? Because that would be awesome. But you have to. Life is full of trial and error, like we talked about with sex. And there's a lot more trial and a lot more error in dating and talking to girls than not.
I tell you what, the one time I made the first move with a guy, I got shot down. So
What?
I know what that feels like. Um, yeah, I totally did. I totally was I was going for it, and he was like, nope, uh-uh. And I
Wow.
was like, all right, well, cool. Nice to have met you.
Oh,
Um,
oh, wow.
it
Wow.
was not awesome. But actually, you know how you're like, I wish girls would just be like, hey, I'm not gonna have sex with you. I used to in college because so many people at bars are just looking for a one night hookup. I
College.
was like, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm trying to save you time. And because I was in college and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm a virgin. I plan on staying that way till I'm married. If that's what you're looking for tonight, like, go talk to someone else.
So
Save yourself the drink money. Like,
what was the point where you said I'm not going to wait till marriage? Where you just had enough?
no, I got to the point where I was graduating college within 6 months. So I thought, should I get pregnant now? I could still graduate. Um, and I was looking at it from like a very practical standpoint of like,
Trish?
okay, here are the consequences that can come from sex, like STDs, procreation, like all these different things that can come out of sex, cause and effect. Do I think I'm adult enough to handle them now? And when the answer was finally yes, I think I'm adult enough to handle them, then I was like, okay. But before that, I was like, I don't want to, oh my God,
Your
no,
parents
I
was
have too much to deal with to think about, like, I don't know, an STD, like, too busy, too busy to think about gonorrhea.
that is the most well-educated, well thought out, I mean, good answer I've ever heard a person say about like I was ready for the adult decision. I mean, I have some friends where it's like I couldn't take it anymore. I had to have sex with somebody. That is fun. And but you figured you were gonna like marry this guy, so you figured was he a virgin when you guys?
Oh, he was definitely not.
Okay. Hmm.
Like, he was like Mr. Playa Playa that thought he was getting into heaven on my coattails.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he like loved the fact that I was this like angelic good girl. And
He.
so he was very like, I'll wait as long as you want to wait. Like, we can date for years before it happens. Like, kudos to him. He did not put the pressure on at all, and it worked in his favor.
Wow.
Yeah, he
Some,
didn't pressure me at all. He was like, "You do you, and if that's a choice that you've made for yourself, I don't want to be the person that compromises that."
oh
Like, I
man.
think even when I went to him and was like, "Hey, I think I'm ready." He was like, "No." Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy,
See,
right?
okay. I can guarantee you that on the other side of things that you are the type of girl, you went to a small school, right?
Yeah.
Small college? Okay. That you were the topic of conversation with guys a lot because they were like, "Can you believe she's a virgin? Oh my God. Oh, I mean, somebody has to date her. Please, somebody do." Like, I guarantee you, because there was girls like that went to Penn State. They were like, "I don't know, she's a virgin." We're like, "Get the hell out of here." That's really interesting. That is such a case study. Oh
See,
man.
I always thought that they all talked about me because I was the short girl with huge boobs.
Well, that too. But I'm saying, like with all of it like together, like you're the total package, and they were like, "She's a virgin. This is crazy." Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know how many of them knew that I was a virgin. I think they just knew that I didn't really ever date anyone from my college.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I was like, oh, well, starting freshman year with my high school sweetheart going to another college, so I have a long distance relationship.
So you did
And
long
then,
distance the whole time too.
yeah, I did that for a long time.
Oh
And
my.
then I broke up with him and dated my director of a film I worked on like an idiot over the summer. Um, oh no, and then I dated someone that was in a show with me at school. So I did date one person in school
Okay.
for like a year or two.
A year or two. My longest relationship before Amanda was like 4 months.
You know what? Nate's the same way. My husband's the same way.
Oh
He
my.
was like so nervous to tell me when we were dating that he hadn't had a relationship that lasted over a year because he was like, that's like a bad sign for me to be, in my 30s and not have had a long-term relationship. But I mean, he was just picky, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Nate
Yeah, I don't
Dowd.
know. But for me, I was a serial monogamist, I like to say, because I didn't have a relationship shorter than 2 years.
Wow. Wow. That's so much
But I
time.
also don't count the like 1 to 2 month longs. I don't count that as a relationship.
Really? Oh man,
Yeah.
if we didn't count those as a relationship, I've never been in one.
Yeah, for me, those weren't the. I was like, man, that was just me figuring out myself.
Oh, I love it. That's so fun.
Hilarious. But anyway, I don't want to monopolize too much of your time, but thank you so much for coming on The Naked Truth and
That's
just
it.
chit-chatting with me today.
I loved it. You're the best.
Yay! You're
Yeah.
the best, and I will come on your show whenever you want.
Uh,
Guys, if you want to check out more of Josh's work, Josh, where can they find you?
at Josh Macuga, Twitter and Instagram, and the Josh Macuga Show on YouTube. And I'm on Collider pretty much every day doing TV talk or movie talk or anything. Yeah, those are pretty much the main places you can find me.
He's a funny guy. Okay, so what question should we ask the Naked Army this week? Is it hard? Let's ask the Naked Army, is it hard for you to talk about sex? Why or why not? So if you want to make a vlog response to that question, you can do that, upload it to your channel, and send me the link using a For Business Inquiries in the About section of this channel, because you guys are my business. Or if you want to send it to me and you don't want anyone else to see it, just say, Trish, I'm leaving this unlisted. This is just between you and me. Please don't share it anywhere. And as always, if you do want to do it in the buff au naturel, full Naked Truth style, make sure it's shoulders up only, please. This is not a sexy time show. And if you're under 18, get your parents' permission so they don't think you're doing anything weird. I mean, you are doing something weird, but not as weird as they might assume. So yeah. So that's it, guys. So Josh, thank you for coming in the show on the show.
Pleasure's all on this side of the table. Thanks, Trish.
Yay! And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.